Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to the Peresmeshnik, an original interactive narrative by Sean Arnold. It is a choose-your-own-adventure book of sorts. It takes place aboard the crew of the Peresmeshnik, taking place during the Cold War. Here we follow the lives of the crew and see what troubles they have to face over the open Arctic Sea. Unless I'm mistaken. Let's see. Yep. Arctic. You know, I just realized there is a problem here. What it is... there we go. Ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's begin. Oh. For the best experience, please use headphones. Ooh. Click the top left arrow to control the volume. November 9th, 1962. Your name is Viktor Pavlov. You are an oceanographer aboard the Soviet frigate, the Peresmeshnik. You have been tasked with mapping the ocean floor of a region in the Arctic Sea. You are currently sitting on the cot in your personal quarters. It is a small room with just enough space for a bed and a small desk. A torn envelope lies on your desk. You are fiddling with a small silver locket containing a picture of your wife and daughter. You grab the notebook and leave the room. You head towards the mess hall where the rest of the crew is eating dinner. When you arrive at the door, you hear loud, muffled voices on the other side. You may enter the hall when you are ready. Are we ready, fellas? Are we ready? Is there something there that we gotta worry about? Nah, it just started. You open the door and grab some food. Tonight, it is mashed potatoes and peas. You sit down at the table and open up your notebook. There is a chart of the nearby sea inside. As you look over the notes, there is a large burst of laughter from the crew. Let's check out the chart. The charts are maps of the ocean floor that were made using sonography. Something about the charts of this region doesn't make sense to you. In the charts, there's a large body of mass at the bottom of the ocean. It doesn't look like any natural formation that you've ever seen. This alone perplexed you. But the second chart you made showed that the mass moved. To be safe, you made a third chart. In the final chart, you saw what appeared to be a chunk of mass break off from the main body. The shape of the mass does not look like any known animals, and there is no information on any plant-based life that could move that fast. You aren't sure if you accidentally discovered a new species of aquatic life, or if your sensors are on the fritz again. No sense in getting caught up in it now. We don't know what to make sense of right now, at the moment. We don't know how to make sense of it at the moment, so let's just check out what the crew are laughing at. At the other table, the crew is laughing at Uranev, who has 2 different plates for his peas and potatoes. A bellowing laugh fills the room. You look over and see Oborev, who is grinning ear to ear, and Uranev begins gesturing towards his plates. Who are these people? Uranev Ruslanovich is a deckhand on the Peresmeshnik. He joined the Soviet Navy at a young age, mainly for the free grub and the pay. He has a mild case of brunotactilophobia. also known as the fear of different foods touching. I mean, I get it. I don't want any proper foods messing up my others, you know? I mean, this fear often makes him the target of ridicule from the other crew members. And Oborev? Oborev Denisovich is the resident mechanic for the Peresmeshnik. He has been working on the Peresmeshnik for 6 years and has grown to be very fond of the ship. You once heard him cooing at the ship's engines when you walked over by the boiling room. He has a very large build, but he is very friendly. You've not talked to him much, but you can see that Oborev was a very jovial person. The others seem to enjoy talking to him. He's one of a kind. No one can replace him. It is simple. Pea here, potato there. Pea, never touch potatoes. Dude, I was just thinking that, bro. Urinev attempts to explain anxiously. It's abomination. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong, Yuri. Hold up. Do you hear that? Mortar fire! Oborev flings a few peas into Urinev's mashed potatoes. Black! Why do you do this? The room bursts into laughter as Urinev scrambles to pick the peas out of his potatoes. Oi! Tell Oborev to lay off the... Ah, come on, Chuvak. It's all good fun. Yuri is good guy, Oborev replied with a chuckle. After exchanging a few words with some of the crew, you wrap up your meal and leave the mess hall to go back to your room. When you get to your personal quarters, you sit down at your desk and begin to look over your notes and the charts of the region. After a few hours, you notice your eyelids grow heavier and heavier. You start to think about sleep. You crawl into bed and begin to fall asleep. You're awakened by a deafening scream. You clamber out of bed and rush towards the source. You arrive to find a stunned Oborev, mouth agape and eyes wide open, staring into a supply closet. Look inside. As you get closer to the closet, you are hit with a pungent smell. You slowly peer inside, and your jaw immediately drops. The walls are drenched in blood. Intestines are strewn about the shelves like ornaments, and blood pools on the floor. One look at the intestines, and you realize something terrible. It's human. You feel your stomach churn as you stumble backwards. Gagging, you lean on the wall for support. A torrent of footsteps is heard as the other crew members arrive. After a few minutes, the entire crew is at the supply closet. You recollect yourself and begin to observe others. Some of the crew grabs Oborev, still frozen in shock, and attempt to pull him away from the scene. Others gather in small groups and begin whispering. It's probably just animal, right? Think, Yuri. Another crew member interjects. Does this look like animal intestines? No! You wait for more of the crew to arrive. Soon, Captain Stepanov arrives and demands an explanation. Who are you? Captain Ramir Stepanov is the commanding officer of the Peresmeshnik. He rarely ever fraternizes with the rest of the crew, and instead prefers to sit in his quarters alone, drinking the night away. Other than that, you don't know much about the captain, other than he stays out of your way and you stay out of his. Well, when he arrives, he demands an explanation. As you look at the 13 crew members around you, you notice one odd detail that stands out to you. No one is missing. Call it out. The captain frowns as you explain that the blood came from a human, but no one on board seems to be missing. Why? Oh, so much blood. How did this happen? What are you suggesting? That this from one of us? He gestures toward the pulling blood in the supply closet. That is. You cut in gruffly as he tries to dismiss you. We are only humans for miles. It could come from no one else. The captain lets out a deep sigh and covers his face with his hand. He waits a few moments before turning to face you again. What do you suggest then? I suggest we run tests on the blood. Stepanov gives you an incredulous look. Blood tests? Is this necessary? We don't have a lot of testing kits. I don't want to waste kits on a hunch. It'll put the crew at ease, I think. The crew is on edge. If nothing else, blood tests will let them think we have plan of some kind. It will help put them at ease and do some wonders for morale. You wait for Stepanov's response. Captain Stepanov squints as he thinks it over. After a few moments, he reluctantly nods to you and then turns to address the crew. Vector will perform tests on blood. Until we get results, everyone will be in mess hall. As the crew heads towards the mess hall, you grab a sample of blood and head to the medical room. Hello, Toxic. You grab a blood test kit and the medical files for all the crew members. You plan to use blood type to narrow down suspects. You start the test and begin logging the blood types of each crew member. As you are doing this, the first step of the test is complete. Happy Spooky Stream Day 3. Yeah. Begin the second step. You start speculating about where the blood could have came from as you wait for the results of the test. It couldn't be Stepanov's. Why was he standing there? Was it Oborev? It couldn't be. As soon as the test is complete, you compare it to the testing manual. The blood type is somewhat rare. A negative. You scan your notes of the crew's blood type and find that only 2 crew members have this blood type. Oborev Denisovich and Urinev Ruslanovich. Report to the mess hall. As you walk to the mess hall, you try to make sense of what you are even trying to say. If a person lost the amount of blood that was in the room, they would be dead. But you saw both Oborev and Urinev at the supply closet. It couldn't be from one of them, could it? You arrive to the door of the mess hall. Open the door. You enter the mess hall to find the crew waiting for you. Some are eating breakfast. Others still seem to be in shock. Captain Stepanov looks up at you as you walk in. Well, Vector, what did you find? You look around the room and spot Oborev, who is sitting at a table, arms crossed and staring straight ahead. Next to him is Urinev, who is eating leftovers from a plate in front of him. The plate contains both peas and potatoes. Wait a second. You notice that Urinev is eating potatoes and peas on the same plate, despite his fear of foods touching. You watch him eat a few spoonfuls and are shocked to see him eat both foods in one bite. Vector. Why now? He never eats food together like that. What's changed? Vector! An angry Captain Stepanov interrupts your thoughts. You look around to see the entire crew staring at you, waiting in anticipation for the results.
We're waiting,
call out Urinev.
Yuri, your peas touch potatoes, and you still eat.
As you speak, Oberev comes out of his daze and begins to stare at Urinev. The room is overcome with a deathly silence as the crew processes this information. Urinev scoffs and looks around at everyone before answering.
Yes, so? So? The real Yuri has fear of food touching. He hates for pizza to touch potato,
Oberev explains. Oberev slowly stands up. Oberev's massive build looms over the much smaller Urinev as he steps forward.
You're not him. You're not really Yuri. You're not my friend.
Oberev lunges at Urinev, clasping his hands around Urinev's neck. The rest of the crew rushes towards Oberev to stop him. As the crew tries to pull Oberev away, Urinev lets out an unearthly scream and his eyes roll to the back of his head. Urinev's body begins thrashing as a black liquid begins oozing out of his eyes. His body contorts unnaturally as it begins transforming into something not of this world. The crew backs away in fear as they watch Oberev struggle with the thrashing Urinev. After a few moments, Urinev's body goes limp. Suddenly, a tangle of jet-black tentacles sprout out of Urinev's back. Some of the crew let out terrified yelps as they scramble to the door. The creature lets out one last shriek before slashing Oberev's leg with its tentacles and scurrying off, escaping through one of the vents. The crew looks towards the vents, confounded by the horror they just witnessed. After a few moments, a crew member runs over to Oberev and begins to treat his leg. There's something shouting to your left. You turn to see another crew member lying on the floor, blood spurting from his neck. A few people put him on the gurney and cart him out of the mess hall. As you come to your senses, you begin to come up with a plan.
We need to evacuate. We have to abandon ship. Take lifeboats to get out of here.
Captain Stepanov stares blankly ahead, almost as if in a daze. As you speak, he looks at you blankly. Slowly, he begins to shake his head, his blank expression gradually turning into anger.
First off, Victor, you are not captain, I am. Second, we can't abandon ship. Not because of some animal.
This was not just animal. This was a monster. It was Yuri. It replaced him. It could do it again. How do we know there isn't another one of us among them, Vector? If we bring it with us, the situation is same. How would it... I don't know if we should bring Oberev. He has been struck, but it's scurried off. We don't know yet how it becomes one of those things. I guess we have no choice. It's the only way to figure out if he becomes one. We bring everyone. The blood we found was A negative. Oberev is the only crew member with this blood type now. While he is in shock, he isn't acting strange. We bring everyone.
No, there are too many important charts and equipment on this ship just to abandon it. We find creature, we kill creature. That's an order.
As Captain Stepanov walks away, he orders 2 crew members to accompany him. You look after him with disdain. You look around at the rest of the room as the captain leaves. The rest of the crew is nervously fidgeting. Some stare at each other with suspicion, eyes darting back and forth, assessing who they can trust. Others are already huddling in small groups, whispering frantically while occasionally glancing nervously at the others. You watch it with dismay as some of the crew sneaks away. You need to act now. You know the crew's best chance of survival is to escape before the creature can replace someone else. But Captain Stepanov won't order an evacuation. Oborev is sitting in the corner. His leg has been freshly bandaged, and he is alone. What do you do? I don't know if he's one of them yet, but I can't just let paranoia get to me. Ask him for help. You run over to Oborev, who is lying on the ground clutching his bleeding leg, and ask him if he can walk. He looks up at you with a grimace and replies,
"It's just scratch. It will take more than shallow cut to take me down."
"Good. Then let's get off the ship." With a furrowed brow, Oborev begins to speak.
"The captain said Stepanov doesn't know shit. We'll all die if we stay here. You saw what I did to Yuri. We stay here and we're next."
Oborev is silent for a few moments.
"Perhaps you are right. That thing is crafty. And I doubt it replaced Yuri because it wanted new friends. So, what do you plan to do?"
"We escape on the lifeboat."
"Vector, the lifeboat's motor is broken. I've been working on it, but even if it weren't, you want to just leave our comrades behind?"
You look around the now empty room, and then turn back to Oborev with a solemn look.
"Everyone is gone. The monster could have already transformed into one of them. Our best chance was to evacuate everyone after the attack. But that chance is gone now."
Oborev looks sternly at you before answering.
"All right. What you say is probably true. I mean, we don't have any paddles."
Oborev chuckles somberly.
"That incompetent Yuri lost them the last time we took it out. So I need tools to fix lifeboat's engine. Follow me."
Follow Oborev. Oborev walks briskly to his room. You follow him close behind, but have trouble keeping up with him. You are amazed that he is able to walk so fast, given his injury. When you enter his room, he begins rummaging for his toolkit. After searching for a moment, he faintly smiles, and he pulls out a clanking bag.
"Aha! Here it is. These tools never let me down."
His smile quickly fades as you both hear a strange roar in the distance. There's another shrill scream that sounds almost human. You turn to Vector.
"Time to go."
You begin to head towards the lifeboat with Oborev. As you turn a corner, you notice a trail of blood that leads into a room. The look of dread comes over Oborev's face, but he attempts to reassure you with a nod. You inch towards the door and slowly begin to peer inside. As you look inside, Oborev lets out an audible gasp. Inside the room, you see a pile of bodies in the corner of the room. Your eyes lock onto one of the bodies. You recognize him as Arthur, a young boy who worked in the kitchen. His skin is pale white, and his dead eyes stare back at you. As the creature feasts on his body, his mouth hangs open. It's almost as if he was trying to scream for help. You notice a second creature walk towards the bodies and begin eating. Suddenly, you feel a tug on your shoulder as Oborev pulls you away and begins pushing you in another room. You notice the sign on the door. It says, Armory. Once the both of you are in the armory, Oberov locks the door behind you.
New plan. We blow the blazed up.
His voice trembles, but not with fear. His fists are clenched and he looks at you with determination.
They kill my friends, defile my ship. I blow them up.
Oberov holds up an explosive charge. You look up at him with concern. Is that safe?
Of course it's safe. You set charges, you get away from charges, they blow up. Safe. Now, let's get going.
As he turns to leave, you realize that you don't have any food or medical supplies.
Wait, we need supplies.
Oberov looks back at you. This is true.
All right, you get supplies, I repair ship and on-bomb. Quickly, now.
Separate? You both leave the armory and head your separate ways. You rush to the kitchen and grab some emergency rations, then sprint to your room. As you run, you hear another low roar. You arrive at the door to your room and open the door. You open the door to your room. There is no one there. There's a large knife lying on top of your desk. You often use it to open letters and carve when you are bored. You grab the knife, figuring the weapon might come in handy. You catch a glint in the corner of your eye and look to find your golden locket. It is open, and your daughter's face is smiling at you. You pause a moment before closing the locket and stashing it in your pocket. Head towards the lifeboat. As you run, your mind begins to wander frantically. Just a rat, I hope. Who is it? What if it gets me? How does it work? Please don't find me. Who's there? Please don't find me. I'm sorry, Yuri. As your mind races, you begin to seriously ponder. What if it replaces Oberov? No, we can't think of that. But it's the only one. It is the only one that seems more logical than to worry about where it is or if it's watching you. You begin to think, what if it already got to Oberov? What if it replaced him? Will it know of our plan? Does it somehow absorb our consciousness, or part of it? How did it know how to communicate? How did it know how to act so human? If it absorbs some of the knowledge of its prey, it could have already gotten to Oberov and be waiting for me. Even so, the lifeboat is my only escape now. The lifeboat is just around the corner now. Turn the corner. The lifeboat is now in view. Next to the boat, Oberov is waiting. He is anxiously fidgeting with his wrench before he finally sees you. He begins to smile grimly. As you get closer, you slow down before stopping altogether. You can't help but think about how the monster can mimic anyone.
What took you so long? Well, hurry on in. The ship is set to blow in 20 minutes.
Oberov stops for a second and looks at you inquisitively.
What's wrong?
Don't trust it. Stab it. Kill it now. That's not him. Oberov is dead. No. Is it really you?
What are you saying? You think I am that thing? I suppose you are right to think so.
He pauses a moment before continuing. not sure how to prove I am not monster, but I can tell you, I hate that thing, and will kill it. The explosives are armed. Believe me when I tell you, it will bring great pleasure to watch that son of a bitch burn in the explosion. And that is why I am not monster. It might be trying to deceive me, but I have to try to believe him. I can't just attack him. You board the ship with him, and he smiles as you board the lifeboat. See? Not so bad, right? Oberev looks at you with a warm smile. Now, let's get going. He walks over to the release mechanisms and pulls the switch. There is a loud clank of metal as the lifeboat jerks back. However, the mechanism doesn't detach. Oberev's smile is quickly replaced with a panicked look. What is wrong? The release mechanisms are jammed, probably because of the cold. Yo-moyo. Oberev takes out his tools and begins working at the mechanisms, locking the lifeboat in place. You hear another roar from the other side of the ship. Hurry! Shut it, Vector. I'm working as fast as I can. As he works, the sound of clanging metal echoes through the ship. You hear another roar. You aren't sure, but you think it was closer this time. Oberev looks at you with a worried grin. I think we got its attention, comrade. You can do this. Keep going. Oberev turns around to keep working. 10 minutes pass by, but it feels like an eternity. You hear another roar, much closer this time. In the distance, you see a shadow, growing even larger. You look worriedly at Oberev. Oberev, it's coming! Just a sec! Got it! By your golly! Oberev jumps back into the lifeboat. Hit that switch! Hit the switch. In an instant, the lifeboat is released and falls violently towards the ocean water. It hits the water with a deafening smack, creating a massive splash and soaking you with the ice-cold water. Oberev flicks a switch on the engine. With a roar, the engine sputters to life, and Oberev steers the boat away from the ship. A smile stretches across your face as you watch the Peresmeshnik grow smaller as you get further away. No. We did it! We're going to make... Boom! Yeah. It was 10 minutes since we... It's 10 minutes past. There was only 10 minutes more that we needed to worry about. The Peresmeshnik is swallowed up in the fiery explosion. As your ears ring from the intense sound of the explosion, you feel something whiz past your head. Oh no. You open and close your mouth rapidly, trying to fix your ringing ears. Once the ringing begins to fade away, you look up at Oberev, who is staring past you with a look of horror. Your toes suddenly feel cold and wet. Shrapnel. Look down. Comrade, there's a leak. You look at the front of the boat and see a hole where water is gushing forth. You come to the realization that what flew past you was shrapnel from the explosion, and it must have punched a hole in the bow. The boat is sinking and you need to get to land now. There, steer towards that ice sheet. Oberev steers towards the ice sheet as the boat starts to sink. As the boat rams into the ice sheet, you and Oberev both lurch forward. In the crash, you are knocked down to your hands and feet. And before the boat sinks, you and Oberev manage to scramble onto the icy shore. Panting, you stand up and look out at the ice sheet around you. Oberev is next to you, gasping for air. You both take a moment to catch your breath before silently nodding at each other. There still might be more somewhere. I couldn't have been the only ones. Did we not get much far? Or farther than... Did we not get really far? I don't know if we got far enough, but... Well, where is home? Oberev points silently towards the rising sun. Without exchanging any words, you begin walking in that direction. Oberev follows closely behind. As you walk forward, you can only think of one thing. Maya, I'm coming. And I won't be replaced. The end. Or is it? We might have gotten the good ending. Visit my portfolio. Oh. Ah. Oh, he does a little. He does some other things. I think we got the good ending. Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. First try. Well, that was a short one, but I feel like it needs to be short since there are people here. I shouldn't be too loud anyway. So, with that being said, thank you all for showing up. Appreciate you being here. Hope you had a good time, a thrilling time, since it is a Spooky-tober. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.